You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region. Good evening. I'm Rafi Martinez, and this went in darkness. Tonight, we are gathered to remember the life and political death of Andrew Mark Cuomo. Mark? His name is Mark? If you know, you know. Son of a dynasty, Prince of Albany, some called him. A lover of PowerPoint. He ruled New York the way an Italian grandma would in the kitchen. Loud, confident, and zero tolerance for feedback. Once upon a time, he was the guy. The steady hand in the sea of chaos. When the pandemic hit, America turned its lonely eyes to Cuomo. He spoke in graphics and platitudes. He comforted us with charts, figures. For a moment, the nation, not me, the nation, thought they had found a dad they were looking for. The tough one that would ground you for your own good. Not let you leave the house for several months. Even though it was very clear that the rest of the family wasn't listening. But no, you had to be the one. You had to be the one that saved everyone. Instead of adapting to the changing landscape, Daddy decided to do as he pleased with righteous impunity. Sorry. I feared a little bit there. There are mugs, candles, and Cuomo-sexual t-shirts. In a world falling apart, we found faith in a man who said, I don't care what the president says. I'm from New York. He won Emmys for press conferences. The only man I've ever known to turn press conferences into a limited series. Wonder how the writer's room feels about that one. Critics called him a hero. He called himself the adult in the room. I called him a grifter. Just, you can pull up some of those episodes in the past and you'll see. We were always on the correct side of this issue. The right side of history, some would say. But behind the bar graphs and the bravado, the darkness was already whispering. Then came all the cracks in the facade. The nursing home deaths, the data buried, the whispers of intimidation, manipulation, and a temper that could melt steel beams. When the women came forward, he said, I'm just a dad. Which was an interesting defense. Somewhere between boys will be boys and the lasagna made me do it. We do not wish to insult the Italians. Suddenly, the nation's dad looked less like Danny Tanner and more like Tony Soprano. He tried to fight it, as all Cuomos do, with force, unrelenting. But for once, there was no aide to yell at, no brother on CNN to run interference. Just him, PowerPoint, and the realization that the pandemic was the last audience that would ever applaud for him. And so the governor, quote unquote, resigned or disappeared. Depends on who you ask, really. But he did not do it in disgrace. No. He did disgrace in the way Albany does disgrace, with a pension and a press release. Since then, he wandered the earth like a political ghost, appearing in diners, testing the waters, letting us know he still exists, popping up like Blue Chew ads. But New York does not do comebacks anymore. No, we do rebrands. We rename things. And it's in this new New York tradition that I have an idea to honor his political legacy. There is only one true fitting memorial for a man like Andrew Cuomo. And that is the Van Wyck Expressway. Because nothing says Cuomo legacy like an endless, soul-crushing traffic jam. A monument of wasted time, public frustration, and potholes that outlive its creator. May the construction cones whisper his name. May all the detours go directly to his ego. There is no fitting tombstone for Andrew Cuomo than an infrastructure project that never ends. Andrew Cuomo's career began in his father's shadow, and lucky for him, it will now end in his own. He built an empire of fear, traded compassion for control, and mistook applause for absolution. But in his fall, there is a lesson. There is a lesson. Power does not always corrupt. It curdles. Slowly, loudly, and on live TV. It is with that we here at WRKM, this one in darkness, bid farewell to one of our favorite political enemies. He now joins Alan Dulles in the dustpan of history. Will we speak of him again? I cannot guarantee that. I don't know. But as of now, I have found my closure. And if he's willing to acknowledge that I no longer want anything to do with him, and he will respect my boundaries, and know that he does not have consent to bother me anymore, to bother this podcast anymore with his annoyance, his annoying existence, then maybe he will have learned something in all this. Join me in a little prayer for the career of Andrew Cuomo. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all the politicians you give us who remind us every day of how utterly terrible human existence is, how utterly corrupt the human spirit is, and how deep down no one is going to save us. No one gives a shit. And it's all over from here. But if we're going out swinging. So thank you for one last shot at the apple. One last bite at the apple. It's Mamdani. Because if New York's going out, I'm going out with a socialist. Amen. But while we'd have mourned the political death of Andrew Cuomo, longtime enemy of the show, there's been a guy who's been absent from this show since its inception because we've never had a reason to talk about him. Not to say that I don't think he's a valuable New York character. I just never really had the time to really do any investigation on him or consider him as a human being. Now, that's not to say he's not worthy of such. He is. I just never found the time. And it was kind of an afterthought. and low on our priority list. But Curtis Sliwa is a New York legend. I grew up with Curtis Sliwa. You see him all the time. The red Guardian Angels jacket was cool. I always wanted one. I never really understood the logo until I was an adult. Always felt a little scared of the logo, like he was trying to tell me something. Like it was some sick cult that he wanted me to join. But as we'll learn a little bit, that maybe I wasn't far off. Curtis Sliwa, in his own words, was managing a Mickey D's in the South Bronx. I don't even think it's the South Bronx. It has to be Fordham in the Bronx. That's not even the South Bronx. Whoever quoted him got him wrong, and I will defend Curtis there. But he was managing McDonald's. He was a night manager too. And being a night manager is some bullshit. You deal with all the hobos, all the crazies, all the alcoholics. So clearly, he was not in the right environment to think well of human nature and human spirit. But in seeing all the violence that was happening around his McDonald's in the driveway, in the parking lot, when people were ordering their fries, asking for supersized menus, he realized something had to be done. And he looked around and he said, well, I've got a bunch of guys making minimum wage who have nothing to live for. So I will brainwash these men into creating a group, not the Guardian Angels just yet, but the Magnificent 13. He, in his own words, brainwashed his employees to go on night patrols with him while McDonald's technically paid for the overtime. So he was willy-nilly closing the store to go patrol the Mugger Express. I believe it's the 4 line. That right there is an only in New York story. When you are able to brainwash 13 people who are making minimum wage and have nothing to live for to put on red berets, where did he find these red berets? You know how difficult it is to find matching clothes back then? Same style and everything. Army surplus store. But he pulled it off. He was able to brainwash 13 people to joining him on the train. And maybe Curtis thought he could brainwash the city into joining him on the trains. Unsuccessful, but he did brainwash some cats. He does have an army of cats. Does that not show that he's a true great leader? That he is someone that we should take seriously? I don't know. But his history always amazed me. Always amazed me. He essentially, well, if you ever read The Dark Knight Returns, which is a comic book by Frank Miller, Batman comes out of retirement. He beats up this mutant gang leader, and the gang that he was running turns into a gang called the Sons of Batman. And in essence, Curtis Sliwa had a gang. Instead of capes, they had red berets. They weren't doing citizens arrests with batarangs, though I bet you he would have got him some of those if he was able to legally. Curtis Sliwa, in a lot of ways, frustrated the police, same way Batman frustrated the police. And ordinary people, they took up arms for Curtis Sliwa because they thought, this guy's doing some good shit. There was something really comic booky about it all. The red jacket, the beret. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need somebody who says, fuck the conventions. I'm a cartoon character. And I wouldn't have minded that as a mayor. I mean, shit. I had Eric Adams as a mayor, and I was like living in The Wire. He was the greatest party promoter of all time. So maybe what we did need was a comic book superhero. We'll never know now. We'll never know. It's a shame. It's a shame. But you gotta think about it. Like symbolism and branding, like that's the one thing I always took away from the Guardian Angels. Like the brand was so strong. And that's such a New York thing. In New York, you always gotta brand yourself a certain way. What your style is, what your logo is, what you stand for. People like to know when they see you, what do you represent? They don't want to think about it too long. And when you saw those jackets on the train, you know what that meant. I don't have to get stabbed. He'll take the stabbing for me. If I'm in trouble, I'm going to be okay. Because that guy is going to jump the bullet for me. And I don't know if any of these people got paid. I don't know if they were trained. Some of them might have been trained in martial arts. But it always felt nice knowing that my percentages of dying on the train went down significantly when a guardian angel was on the train. Because he had the guts to stand up to injustice. And that's the beauty of being a pawn. Well, we're all pawns, if you really want to get into the Sylvia Plath kind of sense of it. We're all dying. We're all pawns, you know. But when they were around, I felt like a bishop. I could just slide out of shit. Like, you take care of that, boy. But I did want the jacket. But he had an army of vigilantes, and like Batman, he operated in the gray zone. Now, if only Kurz had a fucking signal, that would have been great. That's the way, honestly, in the 70s New York, they should have just gave it and got him a bat signal. Because what else were we doing? This is what I hate about New York in like really tough economic times. Like, you're already fucked. Let's have some fun with it. Let's get him back out there. Give him a goddamn floodlight. Now, unlike Batman, he did not know how to disappear. Batman just did the stuff, fought crime, you never saw him. He was a shadow. Curtis, on the other hand, wanted you to know it was him that saved your life. You owe him for saving your life, and you should promote that he saved your life because he's going to promote it as well. And now there's nothing wrong with that to me. If you do something great, should you not get patted on the back? He already had the brand. How could he not promote? And he's one of the greatest New York promoters of all time. Let it never be said that he wasn't one of the greatest promoters of all time. He is in the Hall of Fame of promoters. He was Billy Mays before there was a Billy Mays. That's a fact. And we love that about him on this show. Now, does that mean he was always saying the right things? No. God, no. Questionable racial statements were made. Questionable. But, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And that's what we plan to do in pitching a film trilogy we have come up with. Because to run for mayor again does nothing for him. To franchise the Guardian Angels and himself further is the move. Look at some of these concepts we have put together using Sora AI.
Patrol the city, protect the people, and take back the night. Kurt Sliwa Adventures, now for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Play as the fearless guardian angel through subway brawls, rooftop chases, and daring rescues in a fight for the streets.
It's tough, it's calling all heroes. Join Sliwa and his fearless subway patrol as they race through the tunnels to keep the city safe. Blazing boards, battle cats, and non-stop adventure await. Catch the brand new cartoons.
Join Sliwa and the subway patrol on their biggest mission yet. Battle the robotic rats and protect the underground with fearless heroes and mighty battle cats. Sliwa and the subway patrol playset, available now. Cats included.
Tell me you don't want to play that video game. Tell me you don't want to watch that cartoon with the battle cats. Him and an army of battle cats going through the subway, taking down crime. That toy set seemed fun too. But if that's not his bag, and he feels that we're not doing him justice, then he's right. He's right. I would like to have a film franchise for Curtis Sliwa. And I have come up with 3 movies as part of a trilogy for young Curtis. Well, he's not young anymore. But he'll always be young in my heart because of his energy and his dedication to the city. He's not the hero we deserve. Not really the one we want either. But he's the one we got. The one we got. First film we called Red Beret. We're going to throw Origins as a subtitle in there, so when the trilogy comes out, people know that's the first one. We start with Curtis as a young McDonald's night manager in the Bronx, becoming disillusioned with the city's collapse into violence. After seeing co-workers assaulted on the subway, he organizes his crew into the Magnificent 13. The group evolves into the Guardian Angels, unarmed but fierce, patrolling the streets in red berets. This starts the first movie, and the movie climaxes with Sliwa's group stopping a violent assault that's broadcast all across the city, sparking both admiration and police hostility. Their first big moment on the main stage. That's how we'll end the first movie to get to our second film, Guardian Angels. Guardian Angels expand. Sliwa becomes a media celebrity. Fame changes him, though. He becomes so addicted to the fame that he starts staging events to sustain attention, which is true, allegedly. Political figures exploit his image. Law enforcement want him gone. A stage incident backfires, and public trust fractures. The climax is the 1992 kidnapping and attempted assassination. We had to fight for his life and his soul. Does that change him in any way? It's a great cliffhanger. Him in the hospital bed. Will he make it back? We don't know. We don't know. Film 3, Last Patrol. This takes place decades later. Sliwa returns to prominence with his mayoral campaign. The Guardian Angels are aging, and crime returns to the subway. He faces a younger, more polished political machine, but also has to confront the mistakes of his past. Election night parallels with a subway brawl where new Guardian Angels defend commuters, echoing the original Magnificent Seven. But it ends in ambiguity. Does Curtis win or does Curtis lose? But does it even matter if he wins or loses? Because he's back in the fight to save the city. Now that's a trilogy of films we'd like to make. Of course, there's no one who's willing to bankroll these movies. And I'm sure Curtis himself would not be interested at all in this film trilogy. But it would be good if I got, maybe not Christopher Nolan, but Jonathan Nolan. We'll settle. We'll go down one. To be honest, my opinion, Jonathan Nolan is the better Nolan, but we can have that discussion of the day. Him writing and directing works for me. We get Roger Deakins as DP, and we get Mark Wahlberg as Curtis Sliwa. Granted, yes, he looks nothing like him, but who gives a shit, you know? It's a franchise. We're mythologizing a guy here. As long as Curtis gets his paychecks, he should be happy with what we're trying to do for him. Because it's time to sell out. You've been shot way too many times. How much longer do you think it got? How many more cats are you going to adopt? You need money for the cat food, so sell out. Sell your life rights to me. Now, granted, I can't give you a lot at this current time, but when I sell the movies and the stuff to Netflix, I will cut you in. Trust me, a young Puerto Rican boy you do not know, well, not really young, 37, but irrelevant to what I'm saying. I am the one to take up your mantle and help you mythologize yourself the way you'd like. Now, we don't agree politically whatsoever at all. But a symbol's a symbol and a paycheck's a paycheck. And I am down for whatever you would like to do, Curtis. The ball's in your court. I have shown you AI concepts. I have given you a trilogy of movies. I've given you potential castings. Give me your time and money. Well, actually, give me your time and your life. Give it to me. Because I have a vision of a Curtis Sliwa Guardian Angel cinematic universe. We can have so many villains. You got the Gaudis, you got the mob, you got Rudy Giuliani, you got all these, the mayors who went against, the politicians. We can, God damn it. And the women he was married to. One of them was like in Black Belt magazine, a model. Curtis Sliwa pulled that shit. No offense, not saying he's not attractive. It's not attractive to me. I wouldn't cross the line for him. He's no Zoran Mamdani. But he is attractive to someone. There's a demographic that's really into Curtis. And we will make the movies for them. There are old ladies right now looking for a hero or something to watch on streaming services while they're home on Saturday night. Why not the Curtis Sliwa film franchise? We can get the Blue Bloods producers in. We can get like 15 fucking seasons out of his 40 years of being a vigilante. And most of them are real-ish stories. So, the ball's in your court, Curtis. You know where to find me, I think, on Instagram. This one in darkness on Instagram. That's where you can find me. I'm not going to give out my number on a public platform. I'll give you my number there. But then hold on. I'm going to be very careful with who DMs me now. You have to be the real Curtis. I don't want to be duped. I'm running out of ways to make my dreams come true. Here I am now pitching Curtis Sliwa movies. Could be worse. I could be making sequels to movies I don't own the rights to, like some other filmmakers I know. There's a guy I know making a sequel to Scarface. He doesn't even own the rights to that. He's just finding old actors from the movie and just putting them in there going, I own the rights. Of course, they're broke, so they don't care. They'll do the $50 roll for them. It's a damn shame. But at least I'm trying to go about the right way here. I'm trying to rob Curtis or his cats. I'm trying to do right by Curtis and the cat. Our last reflection of Tuesday, the guy we voted for, the guy we believed in, Zoran Mamdani. And the reaction was about what you expected. Muslim mayor in New York, people lost their shit. Well, racist, bigots lost their shit. And I found it to be particularly weird. Because if you don't agree with socialism, that's fine by me. I get it. You don't want to be taxed more. I, on the other hand, don't give a shit. I'm already broke. But if at least I get more broke and actually go towards something that actually helps people, helps myself as well, then what am I bitching about, really? I'm not going to be a millionaire. Hell, to quote the great mayor himself, mayor-elect, Bill Ackman spent more money going against him than he would have if he had taxed him. Ain't that some shit? So I understand, though, if you're a rich millionaire person and you don't want to vote for this guy because you don't want to get taxed more. Okay. I understand if you're someone who's a little concerned about how are you going to contend with these taxes when you already make shit money. I get it. Maybe someone hasn't explained it to you in the proper way. I don't know if I'm that guy. But what did confuse me, confound me, was all the mentions of 9/11. Because last I checked, and I did some thorough research on this, he was not a member of Al Qaeda, nor was he the CIA that sponsored Al Qaeda, nor was he the Saudi royal family that bankrolled aspects of Al Qaeda. The same Saudi royal family that we do oil deals with all the time. So I don't see how he could have possibly besmirched the memory of 9/11 survivors, the people we lost that day, and their families. I was very confused. And then it just became clear, he's a Muslim guy. Oh no. And I, foolish me, thought we had come to realize that just because someone's of a certain religion doesn't mean they agree with their most extreme faction. I mean, I hear this from the Christians all the time. Oh, that's not us over there. But oddly enough, it is you over there. Because the same Christians that told me, well, we aren't the far right people. You know, we're just a little concerned about certain issues. We're the first ones throwing 9/11 at this guy. These are people who are part of marginalized groups. Black and brown Christians I knew were doing it. LGBTQ Christians I knew were doing it. Even some former Muslims turned Christians that I knew were doing it. And I was confused because all election long of 2016 and of 2024, there was, hey, we're not Christian nationalists. But it seems like you are, though. It seems like you are, though. My thing with Christians, and this is an ongoing thing I've had my entire life with Christians. I grew up Catholic. I went to a Christian church in my later years. And I can say this with absolute authority. No one is more full of shit than church-going Christians. None. There is no, holy shit, there isn't. Now, there's some Christians going, well, that's not nice, Ralph. That's not me. I'm not one of those Christians. Well, as we always say on this show, if it don't apply, let it fly. But if you have to do that and go, well, not I, then you know I'm right. And I can't do anything about that for you. It's your church. Fix it. What I always hear is that the church is not the building. The church is not the people. It's your relationship with God. And I go, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Because I'm going to the church because you tell me God's there. And I'm going to the church because you tell me God's people are there. But while the entire time I'm hearing prosperity gospel about how God wants me to have that car, God wants me to have that milkshake. You deserve that milkshake, even though you probably shouldn't because you have diabetes, but God wants you to have that milkshake. It's interesting because God hasn't told me shit that he wants from me. Not once, ever. Never a phone call, never a birthday visit. Never a lunch, and I'm available for lunch all the time, as you can tell. So often, I am reminded that I am surrounded by a country that is so utterly afraid of Islam that it does Islamic shit. Essentially, they're afraid of Sharia law, but I hate to break it to the Christians, but what do you think Christian nationalism is? It's Sharia law with a cross. But if you think I'm full of shit, right? Like, granted, I say a lot of shit on the show. If you think I'm full of shit, allow me to paint you a picture. Sharia law, Christian nationalism. Here we go. The source of law for both. Christian nationalism advocates laws based on the Bible and God's law. What does strict Sharia law go based on? Quran and the Hadith. Both want to subordinate secular constitutions with divine revelation. Church and state separation. Christian nationalists reject or minimalize it because America is a quote-unquote Christian nation. And the Sharia law peeps rejected straight up. They think religion and state are one entity. If you're following me here, are you seeing the overlaps? No? Then let us continue then. We're going to have to do all the examples because people just aren't getting it. Christian nationalism only wants Christian candidates. And if you happen to dare be secular, they are suspicious of you because you will not uphold Jesus' law. And you do not know how to lead a life because you are a degenerate if you are not a Christian. In Sharia law societies, only Muslims can hold key office. Sexual morality. This one should be fun. Christian nationalism seeks laws against same-sex marriage, sex education, and abortion. Sharia law criminalizes homosexuality and restricts women's autonomy. Public behavior. Christian nationalism wants prayer back in schools. Sharia law wants mandatory prayer times and dress codes. Both want to censor books that are deemed unchristian and not of Muhammad. See how fun this could be when you start analyzing things? Women's roles. Christian nationalism believes women should be submissive to authority. Sharia law codifies that male guardianship is the only thing that matters in a household, which also leads to inheritance inequality. So they're not even the same value as a son in a household. Reproductive rights. Christian nationalism opposes abortion. Do you want to guess what Sharia law does? And you know what? Maybe I'm full of shit. 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 Non-Christians are seen as outsiders and threats to the enemy. Non-Muslims limit and have taxed non-Muslims in Muslim countries, which you know the Republicans would love to do. One is a Christian government under God. The other is an Islamic state under Allah. Will someone please tell me what the fuck the difference is? Other than one is a white Jesus, which historically inaccurate, and the other is a bunch of brown people. That's it. That's it. And when you attack Mamdani with 9/11, you're a bigot. It's not a political point you're making. It's an emotionally racist point you're making. Because you're telling him that you can only see the extreme of his faction. But when you're now judged, and when I just called you a bigot, I guarantee you'll defend yourself going, well, I'm not racist. I'm like them. I'm making a much more nuanced point. Of course you are, sweetie. Of course you are. Now, some of you are just doing what your significant other is doing. I know a few of those. Quite a few people are just doing what their husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends want them to do. And to which I say, you're a bitch. Cuck. I'm sorry. You're an intellectual cuck. I can't do anything about that. Have a thought for yourself. So you're just going to go along with the bigoted shit because your significant other, that's what you're going to do? Good shit. Good shit to see how weak-willed you are. His Sharia law is free childcare. He wants to make things affordable. Freeze the rent. If that's the Sharia law he's bringing to New York, then sign me to fuck up. Get me my Metro card and a prayer rug, because I'm fucking in. Because Christianity has gotten me shit. Zero. Nothing. I've been in a Christian nation for 37 years with nothing to show for it. Give me that shit, what he's got. I'm in. How many times a day do you want me to pray? I'll pray 45 times if you get me the goddamn things he promised. Because it's insane that the Muslim candidate is more of a Christian than the Christians that can't stand him. It's beautiful, really. But hey, that's because inherently in Christianity, there's all these fucking get out of jail free cards. And that's kind of the problem with Christianity as a whole. In Catholicism, you just go to fucking confession and all's fucking forgiven. Just say a couple of Hail Marys, you're fucking good. They never offer you any roadmap of how to be better. In fucking Christian churches, especially the fucking new revival ones, just give yourself to the Lord and all is fucking healed. Which is why a majority of them cheat on their spouses, fuck anybody they want at that point, sexually abuse at fucking rampant rates. This is what doesn't get talked about ever. In the Catholic Church or the fucking Christian church, there is legit corruption and fucking sin going on all over the place. But if you're there on Sunday, and if you're there playing the drums for the choir, it's all good. And if pastor tells you it's all right, it's all right. Because pastor knows better. Pastor has a communication with God. He has a communication with God in his big mansion, in his nice Mercedes-Benz, in his mega church, his stadium-sized mega church. Those are the people you want to convince me care about everyday people. But it's the Muslim guy who's putting his life on the line to try to give the city of New York some things. He's the religious fundamentalist. That? The whole prosperity gospel bullshit may have you convinced that God wants you to have everything, and those who don't have it don't deserve it. Well, let me ask you a fucking question. If that's how God feels about it, doesn't that make him an asshole just a little bit? Doesn't it make God kind of a dick that, one, he sets the ball in motion for existence, right? Which you never asked for. None of us asked to be here. Let's get that fucking pointed out. None of us asked to be here. Existence is you sprout out one day and you're forced to deal with it because you ain't asked to be here. So essentially, he gets the ball rolling and then treats you like shit when you don't live the way he wants you to. And even when you're doing right and you're a good person, you've got shit luck and your finances are bad. Your family's having a tough time. You have no food on your plate. You're on SNAP benefits because you cannot afford to be over the legal line to where you can afford your apartment or food or clothes for your kids. So you have to take the SNAP benefits because the capitalistic system, in which is God given to us apparently, does not provide for you. So heavens forbid you ask for a little bit from your Christian community. Hey, my fellow Christians, or Americans in this case, I could use some Christian love. I can use some of the Beatitudes we're always talking about. And the response is fuck off. Ain't that something? Ain't it crazy how New York has now had to turn to a Muslim man because he's more Christian and gives more of a shit about the people of New York than the people who bring up 9/11 all the fucking time. You can't make this shit up. You can't. You can't. And I always love the new bot comments about the axe. Everyone's doing that one. You know how the trees voted for the axe. They thought the axe was one of them. It's you who did that with Trump. You did that. Ask the fucking soybean farmers how they're doing. One Muslim man who just wants to, if you'll allow him, tax you a little bit more so children can have all the things they need while their parents go to work. Maybe a couple of free grocery stores here and there. Maybe some free fucking buses, so that's one less thing you got to worry about in your weekly expenses. That sounds fucking Christian as fuck to me. And I hope he pulls it off. And if he doesn't, fuck it. We threw a Hail Mary. We tried something. I'd rather throw a Hail Mary going for the win than playing conservative ball every fucking day. Because conservative ball, you know what that gets you? What you got now. Why can't anyone afford anything? Conservative ball. No one has big ideas or big dreams anymore on the right. I don't think they ever really did. But the left is always meant to dream and push, and you guys figure out how to deal with it later. So who knows? Maybe this will work out. Maybe this will work out. But I really hope that if there are any Christians watching this, you think about it for 2 minutes. What have you done to be a good Christian in this political era? Are there people who depend on you? People who need you that you denied helping because you did not agree with their lifestyle choices? Because you did not agree with their political choices? Because you did not see them as a human being? Did you do that? Some of you did. Some of you did. How is it you can go from being a part of an oppressed group to oppressing another? I'll never understand. But hey, that is the Christians I have around me. Those are the Christians I deal with most. And for the 2% that are solid Christians, God bless. Thank you for everything. But a majority of the religion sucks. A majority of the community is toxic and poisoned. And you know what? They don't deserve for Jesus to come back. Because if he came back for this generation of Christians, it would be beneath him. And truthfully, we all know how this one is going to end.